Doc Leeson here, the podcasting beast from the East with the Professor John Gotti, the king of RNG, the troll master, the data analyzing ninja, the conqueror of his own fate. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the cleaner, El Terminator, Professor Omega.
Hey, I'm just a humble wise man of our tribal beast, the reigning, defending, undisputed podcasting champion, the head of our table, your friend and mine, Los Tranquilo, the Pied Piper of podcasting, the sanitizer, Doc Leeson. It's Thursday, man. It feels weird not having football today, but how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I cannot complain. Just trying to make it. I mean, we don't got football. We barely got basketball.
What is basketball?
You know what basketball is? Let me tell you what basketball is. Basketball is hopping just from team to team, trying to jock position to win a championship with money instead of hard work and
Instead of
building.
hard work and development,
Yes,
which is
it's funny.
why you barely have any superstars
True.
of the past few drafts outside of like the top picks who've been nothing but hype.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll say that, I mean, I like the way Boston has done it over the last couple of years. I mean, Tatum and Brown, they're coming into their own. Hopefully they can make it. Obviously, Portland, I've said this for the last two seasons that their time may be coming to an end. Obviously, we saw what happened with Washington with Beal and Wall. It just sometimes it just it's time to call it quits.
Yeah.
But I found it funny the other day. I meant to bring this up that James Harden doesn't like living in Brooklyn. It's so
I
funny.
wonder why.
And, but you know, the first thing I thought of, I was like, he probably don't like living in Brooklyn because he misses Houston strip clubs.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about the strip club scene in Brooklyn, so I can't speak on that.
Exactly. I have no idea, but he just misses probably the limelight. The being in New York probably pre-COVID probably is fine, but with COVID it's probably like nothing going on, and he's probably like miserable. He's like, oh my god, I should go back to Houston. Hey, listen,
No, he's
trade.
not going.
He's like
He's
trade.
not going back to Houston.
I don't. We wouldn't. I wouldn't want him personally anyway. So, um, but yeah, the news, read as follows: James Harden wants to be paired with Joel Embiid. Obviously, the guy who shall not be named obviously would make that happen. But do the Brooklyn Nets really want to take, you know, Tobias Harris? And uh, I don't even know if they really, really want to trade their disgruntled point forward.
No,
You know what I'm
no.
saying?
And
Ben
plus,
Simmons.
you're not really making your situation better by going to Philadelphia.
That's what I was thinking. You might get a cheesesteak, but you could just drive over there for that.
Please. And I know it's going to piss off a lot of Philadelphia people out there, but Philadelphia cheesesteaks in Philadelphia is overrated.
I can agree with that. I've had them all, or at least most of them. I've been to the historic ones. I've been to some of the new ones. I've been to some of the ones that people have recommended, and it's just been. I mean, they've just been cheesesteaks. Nothing too crazy. Whether it's
Nope.
cheese whiz, cheese sauce, actual physical cheese, it doesn't matter. It's pretty much a cheesesteak. But the other part I found hilarious, and this is what caps off NBA news. The aforementioned Boogie Cousins this week got ejected from his first game already. I knew you
Okay.
wouldn't get excited
Yeah,
about that.
like that's not really
It was just,
news.
it was so funny though. It's not news, but that's the NBA. That's the NBA in a nutshell. You got hot takes, you got quick takes. It's just really
We
really
got
bad.
memes galore.
Yeah, I think what's his name from the Timberwolves? Anthony
Anthony Anthony Edwards.
Edwards thinks that he's Black Jesus. It's just nothing really going on in the NBA.
It's it
And
NBA
that's why I'm
has become clickbait. I have been
that's
saying this for years now.
that's why I'm hoping that this trade deadline gives us something with a little bit of meat on it. And just shakes up the NBA in some form or fashion. Because right now there's really nothing going on. There's some injuries, obviously. There's, obviously they don't even talk about LeBron as much anymore. That's how far we've gotten that they
Because the
can't even
Lakers
talk
suck.
about the King. They're talking
Because the
about.
Lakers suck.
I mean, do they suck though?
Okay, they're shooting at 500.
I mean,
But for a team that is getting 85% of media coverage,
mhm.
that means they suck.
Yeah. I mean, if the playoffs started today, they would be number 9 in the ranking, which would be what, play-in game? Is
Hmm.
that play-in? Which they were in last year. So I mean, they really know better than they were last year. That's what I say. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it's still pretty early. The teams that we kind of expected to play well or playing well outside
Forget
of the
about NBA.
Cavaliers.
Let's
Oh
get to
wow,
the
wow,
gridiron. As I have a
wow,
Schefter bomb that just dropped
wow.
as former Colts defensive coordinator Matthew Eberflus is being hired as the head coach of the Chicago Bears.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Okay,
No
Bears.
contract information, but that is the bomb.
Well,
You see how much better that sounds? We could actually
I did.
talk about this.
I did feel better. I can't lie. I mean, the Bears needed a guy who can motivate. Now, and I don't know, of course, if you watched any of the Hard Knocks, the mid-season Hard Knocks, but the Colts defense was very, very energized. They were, I mean, they caused a lot of turnovers. He
Yeah,
brings
but the Colts
in,
defense this year was amazing. It was just their offense. It was
well,
only just Jonathan
yeah,
Taylor, and that's it. They had no passing game.
yeah, yeah. And like I said, the defense. That's all we're gonna talk about. I mean, we don't want to talk about the Colts offense. We're talking about the defense because he was the defensive coordinator. He kept them motivated. He really, really got them going. Um, and preached and praised turnovers. I think they had a turnover chain or a belt or something of that nature that
Yeah,
that really, really lit a fire under them, and they believed in it. They fought hard for it. But honestly, he had some really good pieces, and I think going to Chicago, he'll also have some really, really good pieces with Roquan Smith, especially some of the people from the defensive line.
and
Um,
Roquan Smith, you really liked.
I loved Roquan Smith from Georgia. I thought he was one of the best linebackers in the draft. He reminds me of Darius Leonard. I think that's a guy that um, Eberflus can rely on and really help him take a jump to the next level. But honestly, if we're talking about offense, we would have to see who he's going to bring in as offensive coordinator to help, a young offense. Will they keep Allen Robertson?
Yep.
Those kind of questions. The Bears are notoriously known for their run game. Are they going to be able to establish a run game?
I don't know. I mean, they still got Tom Montgomery as their leading rusher, but he was, less than significant. And
Right.
now, you have a quarterback heading to his second year with Justin Fields as well too. So, we're gonna have to wait and see.
I don't think he really got a chance. Like I said, I mean, they I just don't think the team was in any type of organized play. Like they just looked like they were just going out there and just taking the field. Like the whole idea of having Andy Dalton and Nick Foles, and then you bring in a rookie quarter. It was just a lot going
It was a
on.
lot. They was trying to be cute. Let's call
Yeah,
it a spade to spade. They were trying to be cute.
Yeah, but I think he's gonna have some, he's gonna have a lot of people to work with. They've got some weapons, obviously. Tight end Jesse James. They had Jimmy Graham, Marquise Goodwin. They got a couple of pieces that are going to be really, really good. Just going to see how they bring it together. Um, and obviously, they have a pretty good draft pick. Um, well, actually, no. Did they trade away their draft pick for Khalil Mack?
Yes.
Well, we'll see. I mean, maybe they'll make another deal. Maybe they'll deal Khalil Mack. Because I mean, he's been hurt. He's been, you know, I would say
They could
less
trade
than
him to the Bucks
productive.
for a 6 round pick.
You said that, not me. You said that.
But it makes sense though.
I mean, you said that, not me. As long as he doesn't go to the Rams.
But I mean, the morning has been filled with bombs. Of course, we got the second coaching bomb that happened, Doc. Who got
Hmm.
hired?
Nathaniel Hackett, um, from the Green Bay Packers, was hired by the Denver Broncos. Really smart, and this could be a gateway for John Elway to go ahead and trade for Aaron Rodgers. That's the
That's
word. But
been the consensus around uh, Broncos Nation, actually.
yeah, that's what they're saying. But I mean, is I know Aaron Rodgers said he doesn't want to play in a rebuild. Johnny, do you think the Broncos would are a rebuilding team at this particular time?
They are, but the problem is they want to operate like they're not, and I think that's going to hurt them.
Yeah, so that's where it gets to be kind of interesting. I I'm not sure. I mean, defensively they played pretty good. They have some good weapons. I think the major issue for them really has been quarterback. They easily could possibly fix that offensive line, but if you commit to somebody like Aaron Rodgers, which obviously Aaron Rodgers will be following in the footsteps of what I guess Peyton
Peyton
Manning
Manning
did a
did.
couple of
Yep.
years ago. Um, and I don't know if he wants to do that. I mean, obviously he can come to Tampa and follow Tom. He can keep his number 12 and be all good. But that's been my hope, of course.
It could still happen. We just got to wait and
It
see.
could, but also you have to keep in mind and see if, the Green Bay Packers could work it out. Maybe Nathaniel Hackett was the issue all along, and now Aaron Rodgers wants
I
to
mean,
stay.
again, all this is speculation,
Of
pure
course,
speculation. But
of
Doc, something
course.
that's not speculation, and it's another bomb that just dropped from Tom Pelissero.
Uh oh.
Dan Quinn is staying with the Cowboys as a defensive coordinator. He informed
How
teams
about them
that he's staying
Cowboys?
with the Cowboys. 6 teams requested head coaching interviews with Quinn, who decided he wants to return to Dallas and try to win a Super Bowl there. He may be a
So,
hot name next year. But
so
that
two
all still being said,
two things about
Byron
that.
Leftwich is still the leading candidate for the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching job.
Two things about that. About Dan Quinn first, then we'll get to Jacksonville. Um, so Dan Quinn, who was I think a big candidate for the Giants, I believe it was. Um, when you look at the teams that are left, I mean, the Bears, you know, the Broncos, the Dolphins, maybe, but when you look at the teams, it's like, do I really want to put myself in that position? Moving my family and things like that. And go to a situation that's worse than what the Falcons were when you took over the Falcons. But also, what about the chance that the Cowboys decline and Mike McCarthy is fired, and maybe Dan Quinn gets the nod?
That would be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, or
I mean,
he
you
ruins.
said that Mike McCarthy should have stayed.
Listen, you keep trying to say this stuff, but you know it's all substantial. Like it's all conditional. Mike McCarthy should have stayed. I didn't think that what he did was wrong. I mean, they still had a great record. It was a better season than they've had in years. So it's not all on him. So I don't think that he deserved to get fired. Now, if they come back and have another 8-8 season, we might be talking about something different if there's a decline. But I mean, come on, you can't blame Mike McCarthy for that blunder at the end. I mean, that's why I was trying to figure out why people wanted Kellen more personally. But as far as Jacksonville goes, so there was a report, and of course, I didn't look too far into it. It really wasn't from uh, a source that I'm too familiar with, but the Jaguars, I think, want Leftwich as their new head coach, but I don't know if he's comfortable with the current general manager that they have. That's
which is
what
what
the
I mentioned when their offseason began. Like it wasn't so much as the job isn't a very desirable one because it is, but the general manager is still a problem.
I mean,
And I don't
and
know
I've
if
never
I don't
does
know
Leftwich
if the
have that
Khans are going to be
power
able to.
though? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, does Leftwich have that power to be like, hey, you want me? You gotta get rid of that GM. I don't like that guy. That's weird, isn't it?
I mean, it's not unprecedented. It's not unprecedented. I mean, we've seen it in basketball in the past. Not so much with the coach, but with a star player, with their desire to want to head over there and they want a specific coach.
That's true. I mean, it depends because they were. But see, the thing is, I think Jacksonville was also looking at Eberbus too.
Hmm.
So the coaches are falling off the rocker, and the Jaguars might be left with slim pickings. I mean, Dan Quinn's out. If Leftwich is out, Bowles is getting a lot of attention, and I thought he would have been in the running for the Chicago job. Also, you still have Brian Flores out there, who most likely will be the
That'd be really
should be the
messed up if
next.
he doesn't become a coach.
Yeah, I was gonna say he shouldn't. He should be the next coach hired, um, unless he's like agreed somewhere in principle and we just haven't heard about it. Um,
Could be.
but I don't know. I like. Don't get me wrong. I like Byron. I think he's going to be a great head coach. I like all these coordinators. I think they're good hires so far. No head scratchers. Not to disrespect them, and that this is not disrespectful when I say this, Johnny. I want you to make sure I'm prefacing this is not a shot at him, but there have been no David Culley hirings. Okay,
I feel like that's a shot at him.
like there's been no random hires, but you still got the Raiders, the Giants, the Texans, the Dolphins, and the Jaguars job. So I mean, the off season's still going. The coaches are, the playoffs are still going. So there could be some teams that people want to hire that are on some of these teams. I know the Raiders, are looking at bowls. The Giants are looking at bowls. So maybe I don't know. Jacksonville is a hard job to want to take. I haven't even taken that job in Madden yet. So it's a hard
That's
job to
fair.
take.
That's fair.
And I usually go and play a franchise with all the bad teams, just to make it clear. And that's just not one that I've done quite yet. Trevor Lawrence is an interesting prospect, but they're just I don't even know. They're just in disarray.
They put
Yeah,
themselves in disarray though.
yeah, they
And
have,
that's the
they
problem. Like
have.
they put themselves in disarray. They have no one else to blame but themselves.
This is true. This is true. But Johnny, we also had the coronation of a career as Big Ben Roethlisberger officially hangs up the cleats. Two-time Super Bowl winner. I mean, the guy did it. I mean, one of the greatest pump fakers of all time. Big Ben, I mean, through the allegations, through the accidents, through, the disgruntled receivers that he had to go through, and he went through a few of them.
Yep. Well,
He,
disgruntled offensive players.
yes, disgruntled offensive players. So we did have a running back or two in there. But he stayed with it through the offensive coordinators, obviously Bruce Arians and a couple others. He managed to have a great career, 18 seasons, two Super Bowls. Obviously, 12 playoff berths, six-time Pro Bowler. He was the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
I mean, he had two great. Um, he had some great runs. Um, but it's over. I mean, it's done.
It
Stick a fork in
is.
it. Stick a fork in it.
It is. And I
Um,
think this is both, a blessing and a blessing for both sides. It's a blessing for Big Ben
yeah,
because he can get away from the field. He can, you
healthy.
know, get into some other stuff that he probably have desires to do. And it's
Mm-hmm.
beneficial for the Steelers so they can, begin anew. They
Mm-hmm.
got to find out who the bleep is going to be quarterback, but that's here and there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's also a coordination of the changing of the tide mentally uh, for the Pittsburgh Steelers front office because they had him for such a long time and they predicated a lot of their stuff in the old way Steelers needed to get things done. So now this is an opportunity to see if they're going to become a little bit more modernized with their offense, or will they continue to keep the train moving, but just with another quarterback?
Yeah, and like I said, I'm looking forward to their competition. I know dang well that they're not going to just have those two guys be in the running. They'll probably bring in one more quarterback to compete with them. Um, but the Steelers have to get back to what they did well all these years, which is run the ball. And I think that's the only way to protect these new quarterbacks. Um, I mean, the issue is just like with Cam last year, when you're replacing a legend, all eyes are on you. I mean,
Yep.
obviously, Andrew Luck was really, really good. So that kind of worked out. But when you look at teams like Denver, who, only had Peyton Manning for what, 2, 3 years, and they still haven't found the successor. So when you look at the Bucks, once Tom Brady retires, we're gonna that next person has to be good, or they're out quick because you're the fan base are just they're rabid. It's an alti.
Oh my gosh, Doc, it's an LT.
It's an alti.
Sammy,
Um,
get him.
it's a freaking
Which
alti.
now we're adding that into our thing for the show.
Yeah.
Thanks, Doc.
Hey,
Shout,
Prof,
shout
it's
out to
an
Blake, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But Big Ben finishes as a career 64, almost 65% passer, 418 touchdowns, 211 interceptions. I mean, he only missed but a few games with injury. And I'm glad he's walking away pretty healthy. I think this is one of those when he'll be maybe a first or second ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think he goes too far in there. Um, what a career! What a career! But lastly, Johnny, something that we failed to talk about. Speaking of Hall of Fame, we didn't give the respect to Big Poppy David Ortiz for making the Hall of Fame. Which I asked you, I was so curious, who, who else made it? Did anybody else make it? I was so confused about what was going on because everybody was like, "Oh, Barry Bonds," and so many people falling off, and I'm like, "Well, who won? Did anybody else not win? But who else was elected? Like, I know everybody that fell off. Like, I get it. Everybody's mad. Clemens denied. Bonds denied. I get it. But what about the people who made it? Did anybody else make it? you know?
So Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens are both on their, and Kurt Schillings are all on their last year of eligibility for
Yeah, that
the Hall of
I
Fame.
so
So
that's it.
and Sammy Sosa. So for them, it's that's it. So basically, those associated with the steroid
They're out.
baseball, they're gone. So they'll
Yeah.
be a figment of Hall of Fame mindsets forever, which
Yeah,
is
but
a
that I
big plus
mean,
for baseball. But of course, however you look at it,
ooh, the people were upset. I mean,
of course,
you would think that they weren't throwing stones when they found out he was doing steroids. But granted, Barry Bonds, I'll give him credit. Prior to, and of course, I don't know exactly. I can't remember exactly when he said he started steroids, but the guy was a monster.
yeah,
Didn't he didn't need to do it, but maybe injuries and just the longevity of it maybe caught up to him. But he didn't need to do it, but he did it, and he's, I guess, gonna be forever penalized for it. I don't know if he has children, but maybe one day his children will get into the Hall of Fame and bring him up there with them, or one of those kind of touchy things that we'll see when we're in our 50s or 60s.
yes. So basically, to answer your other question,
Yes.
you're eligible for the Hall of Fame if you receive 75% of the ballot votes.
Okay.
So you have to at least get 75%. Of course, Big Papi, David Ortiz got 77.9%, so he's in there.
He's in there.
Barry Bonds got 66%, which was probably the closest he ever gotten.
Yeah.
Roger Clemens got 65, Scott Rowland got 63, Kurt Schillings got 58, and then of course it goes down for there.
Yeah. So only Big Poppy got the votes.
Mhm. So
Wow.
he's joining six other people who are also going to be part of the Hall of Fame induction
Okay.
ceremony. But they was
Okay.
voted in by the Golden Days and early baseball era committees.
Gotcha. So those
So those
people
are like
get
the legacy
voted.
stuff.
Gotcha.
Yes,
So those people get voted. These people get the percentages.
correct.
Gotcha. Well, congrats to Big Poppy. I mean, obviously a great career with Boston. Hit a lot of memorable home runs. No steroids. Make sure we put that out there. Um, I know he had that scare a year or two ago where he got shot in the Dominican Republic. Glad he was able to recover from that. But the 46-year-old from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, one of our favorite
Favorite
spots,
spots.
is
One day, once all this pandemic stuff
oh,
has
yeah,
lifted, we could probably make our way back out there.
yeah. But Johnny, all strip clubs and Dominican Republic aside,
Unsportsmanlike
I know.
conduct.
Oh, I know you heard this podcast on your favorite podcast platform, but if you didn't, you can always go to our website at www.debateamongstfriends.com to review this episode as well as all the previous. Be sure to tune in tomorrow as we go over more news, more analysis, and the reads.